The Grand Hall of the Galactic Scientific Summit buzzed with the distinctive sounds of over 30 different species. Mandibles clicked, tentacles waved, and translators hummed as the most brilliant minds in the Milky Way gathered for the 427th annual conference. Dr. Elena Reyes stood at the edge of the stage, clutching her datapad tightly against her chest. As Earth's leading xenobiologist and humanities representative, she had expected some interest in her presentation. What she hadn't expected was to be the main attraction. Humans claim to be apex predators, yet they possess no natural defensive mechanisms, announced Sidera, the six-limbed Arthean scientist who served as head of the Galactic Biological Classification Committee. His exoskeleton gleamed under the hall's lights as he addressed the audience. No claws, no significant fangs, no venom, no protective shells. Their skin tears easily, their bones break under minimal pressure, and their sensory capabilities are unremarkable at best. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Elena took a deep breath. She had prepared for skepticism, but the outright dismissal in Sidera''s tone made her blood boil. Furthermore, the Arthean continued, every sentient species we've encountered evolved alongside apex predators. The Vexcar developed their chameleonic skin to hide from the blade-beaked hunters of their homeworld. The Mercians' reflexes evolved to escape the gravity-defying predators of their forest canopies. Even we Artheans developed our exoskeletons as protection against the acid-spitting carnivores of our primordial swamps. Elena's mind flashed back to humanity's first contact 5 years ago. The massive Galactic Federation ship had appeared in Earth's orbit without warning, causing global panic until their peaceful intentions became clear. She had been among the first humans to board their vessel, wide-eyed and overwhelmed by the diversity of life forms that greeted her. Dr. Reyes, Sidera's voice snapped her back to the present. You may now attempt to explain this evolutionary anomaly. Elena stepped onto the stage, activating her presentation with a gesture. The holographic display behind her flickered to life, showing Earth's primeval landscapes. Distinguished colleagues, she began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. You're absolutely correct that humans lack the natural weapons and defenses common to most species, but that absence isn't an evolutionary failure, it's the key to our success. The image shifted to show early hominids walking across the African savanna. Humans evolved on a planet teeming with predators, lions, tigers, bears, crocodiles, creatures that could easily kill an individual human. But what makes Earth unique isn't the absence of predators, it's what happened next. Elena swiped to the next image. Early humans hunting a mammoth as a coordinated group. While most prey species evolved physical defenses, humans took a different path. We developed something far more dangerous: complex social cooperation, advanced pattern recognition, and the ability to create and use tools. A Mercian scientist with sleek feline features leaned forward. But surely in your early evolutionary stages, before these tools, you were simply prey. An excellent question, Elena replied. And that brings me to the most fascinating aspect of human evolution, the thing that truly makes us unique in the galaxy. The display changed to show a timeline of human development. We didn't evolve because we were hunted. We evolved because we became hunters. The audience erupted in skeptical chittering and translated exclamations. Impossible, declared a gelatinous quarian from the front row. Every evolutionary model shows that prey species develop intelligence as a defense mechanism. Predator species have no need for advanced cognition when physical superiority suffices, Elena smiled. And that's precisely why the human case is so unique. We weren't the strongest, fastest, or most physically imposing species on our planet. But we became the most dangerous through a combination of factors that, as far as we know, never aligned quite the same way anywhere else in the galaxy. She was about to continue when Ambassador Klovac of the Draconian hegemony rose from his seat. His scaled skin shimmered with iridescent patterns expressing deep skepticism. The hegemony has studied thousands of evolutionary paths across the galaxy, he hissed, his translator struggling to convey the complex harmonics of his native tongue. And we have never encountered a species that claims to have no natural predators. It defies biological law. Either humans evolved with predators, hunting them, or your species is fabricating its evolutionary history to appear more impressive than you are. Dire tense silence fell over the hall. Elena recognized the diplomatic incident forming before her eyes. Humans had only recently been granted probationary status in the Galactic Federation. Accusations of deception could set back relations by decades. Ambassador, Helena said carefully, I understand your skepticism, but I assure you Earth's evolutionary record is well documented. Perhaps instead of questioning our history, we might explore why Earth's evolutionary path differs from the galactic norm. The draconian scales flashed a pattern that the translator interpreted as grudging acceptance. Very well, Dr. Reyes, Zixtral interjected. You have 1 hour to convince this assembly that humans are not merely delusional prey animals with inflated self-importance. Proceed. Elena nodded, turning to face the massive display once more. She had prepared for scientific skepticism, but now the future of humanity's place in the galactic community rested on her ability to explain why, on a planet full of fearsome predators, humans had somehow become the only species that nothing hunted. Let me take you back 3 million years, she began, to the African plains where our story truly begins. Hey everyone, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a like if you're enjoying this sci-fi journey. Now, let's continue. Elena's holographic display shifted to show the skeletal structures of various apex predators from Earth alongside a human skeleton. The contrast was striking. The human frame appeared almost fragile next to the massive jaws, powerful limbs, and specialized killing adaptations of Earth's predators. What you see before you, Elena continued, is what the Galactic Classification Committee would call a textbook example of prey morphology. No specialized killing apparatus, limited muscle mass relative to body size, slow reproductive cycle, poor sensory capabilities compared to dedicated hunters. The Mercian scientist in the front row flicked his tail with satisfaction. Several delegates exchanged knowing glances. By all conventional metrics, Elena admitted, early humans should have been nothing more than convenient meals for the true apex predators of Earth. We couldn't outrun a cheetah. We couldn't outfight a lion. We couldn't hide from wolves with their superior sense of smell. Ambassador Kulvak's scales rippled with a pattern that his translator interpreted as smug vindication. Then you concede that humans evolved as prey species. This contradicts your earlier claim. No, Ambassador, Elena replied calmly. I'm illustrating why our evolution confounds galactic classification systems. You see, what appears to be weakness was actually the foundation of our greatest strength. She gestured, and the display changed to show early hominids crafting simple stone tools. While other species were developing biological weapons, fangs, claws, venom, humans were developing something far more adaptable, technology. Even in its most primitive form, technology gave us an edge that biological evolution alone could never match. The display shifted to show various predators of the African savanna. Consider this. A lion's claws are formidable weapons, but they can never become anything else. A venomous snake's fangs serve one purpose. But human hands, Elena held up her own hands, turning them palms up. These seemingly weak, clawless appendages could craft spears one day and surgical instruments the next. They could throw rocks to bring down prey or weave baskets to carry food. They could build shelters or create art. Dr. Zorlab, a tentacled Cephalian neuroscientist, raised 3 of his limbs simultaneously. But surely this tool use came after significant brain development. What protected your species during the vulnerable evolutionary period before advanced? Cognition? Elena nodded appreciatively at the question. Another excellent point. The answer lies in what we call the feedback loop of human evolution. The display showed a circular diagram with 4 connected points: bipedalism, tool use, social cooperation, and brain development. Unlike most species, where a single adaptation drives evolutionary success, humans benefited from multiple adaptations, reinforcing each other. Walking upright freed our hands for tool use selected for better fine motor control and planning. Social cooperation allowed for division of labor and knowledge sharing. Each of these developments created selection pressure for larger brains, which in turn improved our capacity for tool creation and social organization. The Arthian scientist Zix clicked his mandibles skeptically. This still doesn't explain how your species survived the early stages of this process. Before sophisticated weapons, before complex social structures, what kept the predators at bay? Elena swiped to a new image showing a reconstruction of early human group behavior. What kept us alive was the earliest form of what would become humanity's true superpower: cooperation. Even before complex language, early humans understood strength in numbers. We weren't just individuals, we were the first species on Earth to form complex social groups specifically organized around mutual defense and cooperative hunting. The display showed a small band of early humans facing down a saber-toothed cat, brandishing burning branches. Fire was another critical advantage. No other species on Earth mastered its use. Predators instinctively fear fire, giving even our earliest ancestors a powerful deterrent against attack. A Quarian delegate pulsed with blue bioluminescence, indicating curiosity. But many species in the galaxy evolved cooperative behaviors without achieving dominance. The hive minds of Sector 7 operate with perfect unity, yet they remained prey to the apex predators of their world until they developed space travel. True, Elena acknowledged. Cooperation alone isn't enough. What made humans different was how we combined cooperation with another trait that most prey species never develop: aggression. The room fell silent. Elena could sense the discomfort rippling through the audience. Most prey species evolved to flee from danger. It's a successful strategy. Rabbits, deer, and countless other Earth species thrived by perfecting the art of escape. But humans took a different path. We didn't just run from predators, we learned to fight back, to hunt them. The display showed cave paintings depicting humans hunting lions and bears. This is where human evolution truly diverges from galactic norms. We combined the cooperative social structures typical of prey species with the aggressive hunting behaviors of predators. We weren't the strongest individually, but collectively, we became something entirely new: a social apex predator. Ambassador Klavac rose again, his scales now pulsing with a pattern that indicated deep skepticism. Dr. Reyes, these claims are extraordinary. You expect us to believe that a species with no natural weapons, no significant strength, and no specialized hunting adaptations somehow managed to outcompete dedicated predators that had evolved over millions of years specifically for killing. Elena met his gaze steadily. Yes, Ambassador, that is precisely what happened, and I can prove it. She gestured, and the display showed a timeline of megafauna extinctions coinciding with human migration, patterns across Earth. Wherever early humans spread, the largest predators began to disappear. Not because they hunted us, but because we hunted them, or competed with them so effectively that they couldn't survive. Murmurs spread through the audience. Elena could see that some delegates were intrigued, while others remained deeply skeptical. "This is absurd," declared a Vexcar scientist, his chameleonic skin flushing red with agitation. "You claim your species eliminated apex predators with primitive tools, without biological adaptations for hunting. The Galactic Classification Committee has catalogued over 12,000 predator-prey relationships, and in no case has a prey species eliminated its predators through technological means alone." Elena took a deep breath. She had anticipated this reaction, but the dismissive tone still stung. "With respect," she replied, "perhaps that's because your classification system is based on a false binary. You categorize species as either predators or prey, but humans demonstrate that this dichotomy is insufficient. We began as what you might call prey, but through behavioral and technological adaptation, not biological evolution, we transcended that category." The Vexcar's skin rippled with patterns of disbelief. Several other delegates began talking at once, their translators creating a cacophony of overlapping voices. Zixtral raised all 6 of his limbs, calling for order. "Dr. Reyes, these claims challenge fundamental principles of xenobiology. If what you say is true, it would require us to reconsider classification systems that have served the Galactic Federation for millennia." "Perhaps," Elena suggested carefully, "that reconsideration is overdue." The hall erupted again, this time with even more animated discussions. Elena could see that she had touched a nerve, challenging not just their understanding of human evolution, but their entire framework for categorizing life in the galaxy. Ambassador. Kalvak's scales now displayed a pattern that his translator interpreted as challenge. Words and theories are easily manufactured, Dr. Reyes. If humans truly evolved as you claim, if you are indeed this evolutionary anomaly that defied the natural order, then surely you can demonstrate these supposed abilities. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador? The Draconian's mouth curved into what might have been a smile on his reptilian face. A practical demonstration. If humans evolved to hunt predators rather than flee from them, let us see this adaptation in action. Zixtral clicked his mandibles in what Elena had learned was an expression of concern. Ambassador, what you're suggesting is perfectly reasonable, Kalvak interrupted. The Draconian hegemony maintains a conservation facility with specimens of apex predators from across the galaxy. If Dr. Reyes is so confident in humanity's unique evolutionary path, let her prove it. Elena realized that the diplomatic incident she had feared was now unavoidable. To refuse would be seen as an admission that humans had been exaggerating their evolutionary history. To accept meant placing herself, or another human, in potential danger. Before she could respond, a new voice joined the conversation. Admiral. Zhang, the human military liaison to the Galactic Federation, stood from his seat in the back of the hall. The ambassador's challenge is accepted, he announced, his voice carrying across the suddenly silent room. But with one condition. The demonstration will follow the exact parameters of early human hunting techniques. No modern weapons, no artificial advantages, just humans using the methods our ancestors employed to become Earth's dominant species. Kalvak's scales rippled with what Elena recognized as surprise followed by satisfaction. Agreed. 3 solar cycles from now, in the hegemony's xenobiological reserve. We shall see if humans truly are the evolutionary marvel you claim, or merely delusional prey with delusions of grandeur. As the meeting adjourned in a buzz of excited conversation, Elena hurried to Admiral Zhang's side. Admiral, do you realize what you've just agreed to? She whispered urgently. Zhang's expression was grim but determined. I do, Doctor. But sometimes the only way to earn respect in this galaxy is to show rather than tell. It's time the Federation understood exactly what they're dealing with when it comes to humanity. Elena nodded slowly, her mind already racing through the implications. In 3 days, humans would have to demonstrate the very evolutionary adaptations she had just described, not through charts and theories, but in a direct confrontation with one of the galaxy's apex predators. The true test of her claims was about to begin. The Draconian Xenobiological Reserve sprawled across an entire moon orbiting the gas giant Kalvak's Prime. From the observation deck of the shuttle, Elena could see vast artificial biomes, each one a perfect recreation of some distant world's ecosystem. Impressive, isn't it? Admiral Zhang stood beside her, his weathered face reflected in the viewport. The Draconians may be arrogant, but they're excellent conservationists. Elena nodded, trying to quell the anxiety churning in her stomach. Admiral, I'm still not convinced this demonstration is wise. We're playing directly into Kalvak's hands. Zhang's expression remained impassive. Sometimes the only way to win a game is to play it, Doctor. Besides, I've selected our team carefully. The shuttle banked toward a massive dome that shimmered under the gas giant's eerie light. As they approached, Elena could make out the details of a savanna-like landscape within, rolling grasslands punctuated by scattered trees and rocky outcroppings. Looks like Earth, she murmured. That was my condition, Zhang replied. If we're going to demonstrate human hunting techniques, we needed terrain our ancestors would recognize. The shuttle docked at an observation platform extending into the dome. As the airlock cycled, Elena was struck by the familiar scents, grass, soil, and something musky that reminded her of zoos back on Earth. Ambassador Kalvak awaited them, flanked by a delegation of Federation scientists and dignitaries. His scales rippled with barely concealed anticipation. "Welcome to the Preservation Dome," he said, his translator rendering his sibilant speech into standard. "We've prepared everything. According to Admiral Zhang's specifications, Earth-like gravity, atmosphere, and terrain." Elena noticed the observation gallery above them was packed with spectators from dozens of species. News of the demonstration had spread quickly through the diplomatic community. "And the challenge?" Zhang asked, his voice steady. Kulvak's mouth curved in what Elena had learned to recognize as a draconian smile. "We've selected a worthy test of your evolutionary claims, Admiral. The Nexu is an apex predator from the Outer Rim, fast, intelligent, and perfectly adapted for hunting in grassland environments. A holographic display activated, showing footage of a sleek feline creature with 4 eyes and razor-sharp quills running down its spine. It moved with terrifying speed, bringing down prey animals twice its size with precision and power. The Nexu has never been successfully hunted without energy weapons," Kulvak added with obvious satisfaction. "Even the warrior clans of Tagorian consider them too dangerous to engage in traditional hunts." Elena felt her heart sink. The creature was clearly more dangerous than anything their ancestors would have faced on Earth. This wasn't a fair demonstration. It was a trap. Before she could protest, Zhang stepped forward. "We accept the challenge. Allow me to introduce our hunting party." From behind them emerged 3 humans Elena hadn't met before. 2 men and a woman, all with the lean, weathered look of people who spent their lives outdoors. "This is Makoto." "Tanaka, former wilderness guide from Hokkaido," Zhang said, indicating a compact, muscular man who nodded silently. "Adama Ndiaye, 3rd-generation tracker from the Serengeti Conservation Zone." The tall, dark-skinned man smiled briefly. "And Dr. Sarah Blackwood, paleoanthropologist, specializing in prehistoric hunting techniques." The woman stepped forward, her gray-streaked hair pulled back in a practical braid. "I've spent 20 years studying and replicating the hunting methods of our ancestors," she explained to the assembled aliens, "from Neanderthals to early Homo sapiens." Kulvak seemed unimpressed. "And your weapons?" Zhang gestured, and an aide brought forward a collection of items that looked absurdly primitive in the high-tech setting. Wooden spears with fire-hardened tips, stone-tipped javelins, a net woven from plant fibers, and what appeared to be simple rocks. A ripple of what Elena recognized as derisive laughter spread through the alien observers. "These are the weapons that allowed humans to become Earth's dominant species?" Kulvak asked incredulously. "You expect to face a Nexu with sticks and stones?" "These," Zhang replied calmly, "plus our minds, our endurance, and our cooperation. The very adaptations Dr. Reyes described in her presentation." Kulvak's scales flushed with a pattern that his translator didn't bother to interpret. "Very well. The rules are simple. Your team will enter the habitat. The Nexu has been released at the far end. You have until the 3rd moonrise to demonstrate your species' supposed hunting prowess. The observation systems will record everything for scientific analysis." Zhang turned to the hunting team. "Remember your training and trust each other. This isn't just a hunt, it's a demonstration of what makes us human." As the team gathered their primitive weapons, Elena pulled Zhang aside. "Admiral, this is madness. That creature is nothing like the predators our ancestors faced." Zhang's expression softened slightly. "Dr. Reyes, what's the primary difference between humans and the predators we evolved alongside?" "Adaptability," she answered automatically. "Exactly. We're not going to win this by following the exact hunting methods of our ancestors. We're going to win by doing what humans have always done, adapting our methods to new challenges." He squeezed her shoulder reassuringly. "Trust me, Doctor. I didn't choose these people at random." Before Elena could respond, the hunting team was moving toward the habitat entrance. The airlock cycled, and they stepped into the artificial savanna, primitive weapons in hand. The observation gallery fell silent as the spectators watched the humans spread out in a practiced formation. Dr. Blackwood took the lead, examining the ground and vegetation with expert eyes. Tanaka climbed a nearby tree with surprising agility, scanning the horizon, and Ndiaye moved in a wide circle studying the terrain. "What are they doing?" asked a Quarian scientist, their gelatinous body pulsing with confusion. "The Nexu is in the opposite direction. They're reading the land," Elena explained. finding herself falling naturally into her role as interpreter of human behavior. Learning the terrain, identifying resources, planning their approach. On the screens, Blackwood had gathered the team. They appeared to be discussing strategy, pointing to various features of the landscape. Then, to Elena's surprise, they began gathering materials, certain rocks, plant fibers, branches. They're making more tools, she realized aloud. Is this permitted? Klvac demanded. They brought weapons with them. They brought examples of basic human technology, Elena countered. But the essence of human adaptation is our ability to create new tools for new situations. You're not just seeing human hunting. You're seeing human innovation in real time. For nearly an hour, the team worked with focused efficiency. They crafted additional spears, what appeared to be primitive bolas, and something Elena couldn't quite identify. Then they began to move purposefully across the savannah toward the area where the Nexu had been released. This is foolishness, muttered a Mercian observer. They moved directly toward the predator, making no attempt at stealth. Even cubs know better. Elena watched with growing concern as the humans moved into a wide valley between two ridges. They seemed exposed, vulnerable. Had Zhang's confidence been misplaced? Suddenly, Tanaka froze, raising his hand. The team immediately stopped, dropping into crouches. The cameras zoomed in on what had caught his attention, a disturbance in the grass ahead, moving rapidly toward them. The Nexu has detected them, Klvac announced with obvious satisfaction. Now we shall see how these apex predators fare against a true hunter. The alien predator burst from the tall grass with frightening speed, its 4 eyes fixed on the humans. It was larger than Elena had expected, at least 300 kilograms of muscle and fury, with claws that could disembowel a human with a single swipe. But instead of panicking or fleeing, the humans executed a coordinated response that left Elena breathless. They scattered in 3 directions, forcing the Nexu to choose a target. It went for Ndiaye, who was carrying one of the spears. As the creature charged, Ndiaye stood his ground until the last possible moment, then dove aside with remarkable agility. The Nexu, unable to change direction at such speed, shot past him. Before it could recover, Tanaka hurled one of the bolas, the weighted cords wrapping around the creature's hind legs. The Nexu roared in fury, slashing at the restraints with its claws. In seconds, it had freed itself, but the brief delay had given the humans time to regroup on higher ground. Fascinating, murmured Dr. Zorlab, the Cephalian neuroscientist. They deliberately positioned themselves in this valley. They wanted the creature to charge them. A trap, Elena realized. They're using the terrain to their advantage. The Nexu stalked toward the humans, more cautious now. It circled the base of the rocky outcropping where they had positioned themselves, looking for a way up. The humans maintained their formation, spears ready. What happened next astonished even Elena. Instead of waiting for the creature to find a path to them, Blackwood deliberately dislodged a small rock, drawing the Nexu's attention. When it looked up, Ndiaye hurled his spear with incredible precision, striking the creature in the shoulder. The Nexu roared in pain and fury, but the wound wasn't deep enough to disable it. It retreated a short distance, eyeing the humans warily. First blood to the prey species, Zhang commented quietly. Notice how the Nexu's behavior has changed. It's reassessing the threat. For the next hour, a strange dance unfolded. The humans would separate, forcing the Nexu to choose which one to pursue. Each time it committed to a chase, the other team members would flank it, hurling spears or stones to drive it away from their companion. They never allowed it to isolate a single human for long. They're wearing it down, Elena explained to the increasingly attentive alien audience. This is persistence hunting, one of humanity's oldest techniques. We can't outrun most predators in a sprint, but we can outlast them in endurance. Sure enough, the Nexu's movements were becoming less fluid, its breathing more labored. The savannah's heat and the constant movement were taking their toll on the ambush predator. But they haven't killed it, Klvac observed dismissively. They're merely avoiding death themselves. Watch, Zhang replied simply. As if on cue, the human team shifted tactics. Instead of maintaining distance, they began to close in from 3 directions, using their spears to control the Nexu's movements. They were herding it, Elena realized, toward a particular section of the valley. the Nexu suddenly stumbled, its front paw breaking through what appeared to be solid ground. It had stepped into a concealed pit, not deep enough to trap it completely, but enough to throw it off balance. In that moment of vulnerability, Tanaka and Ndiaye charged forward with their spears, while Blackwood circled behind. The coordination was perfect. As the Nexu reared up to slash at the men approaching from the front, Blackwood drove her spear deep into its flank, finding the vital spot between its ribs. The creature let out a terrible shriek, twisting to attack her, but the movement only drove the spear deeper. Tanaka and Ndiaye seized the opportunity, driving their own spears into the creature from different angles. The Nexu fought ferociously, managing to catch Ndiaye with a glancing blow that tore his sleeve and drew blood. But the outcome was now inevitable. Within minutes, the mighty predator collapsed. The humans maintained their distance, spears ready, until they were certain it was dead. The observation gallery had fallen completely silent. Elena looked around at the alien faces, expressions of shock, disbelief, and in some cases, newfound respect. "That," Admiral Zhang said into the silence, "is how a species with no claws, no fangs, and no natural armor became Earth's apex predator." Klavak's scales had taken on a pattern Elena had never seen before. His translator remained silent for several moments before finally rendering acknowledgement of unexpected outcome. Dr. Zorlab floated forward, his tentacles rippling with excitement. Remarkable, not just the kill itself, but the methodology. They created tools specific to the environment. They used the terrain as a weapon. They coordinated without obvious communication. And most importantly, they adapted their strategy as the situation evolved. This wasn't just hunting, Elena added, seizing the moment. This was problem-solving. The same cognitive and social abilities that allowed our ancestors to overcome Earth's predators eventually led us to develop civilization, technology, and ultimately, space travel. The hunting team had returned to the entrance airlock, their primitive weapons stained with the Nexu's blood. Despite their exhaustion, they stood tall, embodying the very evolutionary adaptations Elena had been trying to explain. As they rejoined the observation platform, the alien scientists crowded around them, translators working overtime as questions poured forth. Elena caught fragments of conversations about human endurance, about tool creation, about coordinated hunting strategies. "Ambassador," Klavak approached Admiral Zhang, his posture noticeably different from before. "Your species has proven unexpected, Admiral. The Galactic Classification Committee will need to reconsider its parameters." Zhang nodded. "We humans have a saying, Ambassador. Don't judge a book by its cover." "I am unfamiliar with this idiom," Klavak replied. "It means," Elena interjected, "that appearances can be deceiving. What looks like weakness might actually be strength of a different kind." As the diplomatic party began to move toward the shuttle bay, Dr. Blackwood fell into step beside Elena. Despite the scratches and dirt covering her, the paleoanthropologist was smiling. "You know what the most important part of that demonstration was, Dr. Reyes?" she asked quietly. "The kill," Elena guessed. Blackwood shook her head. "No, it was the moment when Ndiaye was injured. Did you notice what happened immediately after?" Elena thought back. The other team members closed ranks around him. Exactly. In most predator species, an injured member would be abandoned. Survival of the fittest, but humans protect our wounded, our vulnerable. That cooperation, that empathy, is as much a part of our evolutionary success as our tool-making or our endurance. As they boarded the shuttle, Elena found herself looking back at the dome where the demonstration had taken place. What the aliens had witnessed wasn't just a successful hunt. It was a glimpse into the unique evolutionary path that had shaped humanity. For the first time since the conference began, she felt confident that the Galactic Federation might finally understand what made humans different. Not our physical attributes, but our adaptability, our cooperation, and our relentless determination to overcome challenges that would have stopped any other species in its tracks. The hunt had changed everything, not just for the Nexu, but for humanity's place in the galactic community. Wow, what a journey! If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more sci-fi adventures. What was your favorite part? Let me know below. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Scientific Summit had transformed overnight. Where once there had been skepticism and derision, now there was a palpable sense of curiosity. The demonstration in the Draconian Reserve had sparked intense debate. Throughout the Federation's scientific community, Elena stood at the podium, facing an audience that had doubled in size since her first presentation. Ambassador Klivak sat in the front row, his scales now displaying a pattern that his translator interpreted as attentive neutrality, a far cry from his previous dismissive hostility. Distinguished colleagues, Elena began, yesterday you witnessed a demonstration of how humans overcame our physical limitations through cooperation, tool use, and strategic thinking. But today, I want to show you something even more remarkable about human evolution, something that truly sets us apart in the galaxy. The holographic display behind her activated, showing Earth from orbit, a swirl of blue, green, and white. By all conventional metrics, humans should have followed the same evolutionary path as other apex predators. Once we eliminated our competitors and secured our position at the top of Earth's food chain, natural selection should have reinforced our predatory adaptations. We should have become more efficient killers, she gestured, and the display shifted to show images of Earth's megafauna extinctions, woolly mammoths, giant sloths, and other massive creatures that had disappeared shortly after humans arrived in their habitats. And for a time, that's exactly what happened. As humans spread across Earth, we hunted with such efficiency that we drove many species to extinction. We were becoming the ultimate predator, one that no other species could escape or resist. Admiral Zhang, seated in the second row, nodded slightly. He understood where she was going. But then, Elena continued, something unprecedented happened. Something that defies conventional evolutionary theory. The display changed to show ancient cave paintings, not of hunting scenes, but of humans caring for animals, domesticating them. We began to protect other species, to nurture them, to form symbiotic relationships rather than simply consuming them. Dr. Zorlab raised a tentacle. But many species form symbiotic relationships. The hive minds of Sector 7 have mutualistic bonds with their livestock. True, Elena acknowledged, but those relationships are instinctual, encoded in genetic memory. What makes humans unique is that we consciously chose to extend protection to species that offered us no immediate benefit, and eventually to species that we once hunted. The display shifted to show modern wildlife conservation efforts. Humans, protecting endangered predators, rehabilitating injured animals, creating nature preserves. At some point in our development, humans made an evolutionary leap that no other apex predator in the galaxy has made. We transformed our predatory instincts into protective ones. We became the first species to voluntarily limit our own predatory behavior for the benefit of the ecosystem as a whole. A Vexcar scientist's skin rippled with patterns of skepticism. This seems counterproductive from an evolutionary standpoint. Why would a predator species deliberately restrict its own success? Elena smiled. That's precisely what makes it so remarkable. By conventional evolutionary theory, it shouldn't happen. But humans developed something that transcended our basic predatory nature, foresight. The display showed time-lapse imagery of environmental restoration projects, barren landscapes transformed into thriving ecosystems through human intervention. We recognized that unchecked predation would ultimately lead to our own downfall. By protecting other species, even our former competitors, we were actually ensuring our long-term survival. We became stewards rather than simply consumers. Ambassador Kulvak's scales shifted to a pattern indicating deep thought. You claim this is an evolutionary adaptation, not merely a cultural development? The evidence suggests it's both, Elena replied. Our capacity for empathy, for understanding, and caring about the experiences of other beings appears to have co-evolved with our intelligence and social structures. The same neural pathways that allow us to cooperate with other humans also enable us to extend concern to other species. She gestured, and the display showed brain scans of humans responding to the suffering of animals, the same emotional centers activating as when they witnessed human suffering. This empathic response isn't just cultural conditioning, it's hardwired into our neurology. The same adaptations that made us effective social predators also gave us the capacity to care about the welfare of other beings. Dr. Zorlab floated closer to the stage, his tentacles rippling with excitement. Fascinating. You're suggesting that predatory adaptations, taken to their logical extreme, can actually circle back to protective behaviors. In our case, yes, Elena confirmed. And this has profound implications for how we understand evolutionary pathways throughout the galaxy. The display shifted to show Earth's current conservation efforts, vast marine sanctuaries, wildlife corridors spanning continents, restoration of ancient forests. Today, humans devote enormous resources to protecting and restoring Earth's ecosystems. We've established preserves for predators that once hunted our ancestors. We've developed technologies specifically designed to monitor and protect endangered species. We've even begun to restore species that our own ancestors drove to extinction. A Mercian scientist flicked his tail skeptically. This could simply be a luxury afforded by technological advancement. Once your species no longer needed to compete for resources, you could indulge in sentimental attachments to other creatures. Elena had anticipated this objection. If that were true, we would expect conservation efforts to emerge only after humans achieved material abundance. But the historical record shows otherwise. The display showed indigenous conservation practices from cultures around Earth, sustainable hunting methods, sacred groves where no hunting was permitted, taboos against killing certain animals. Even our earliest civilizations established rules to protect other species. Long before we had material abundance, humans recognized the importance of maintaining balanced ecosystems. This wasn't luxury, it was wisdom. The hall had fallen silent, the assembled scientists absorbing this new perspective on human evolution. But the most remarkable chapter in this evolutionary story, Elena continued, is what happened when humans turned our protective instincts toward our greatest threats, ourselves. The display shifted to show the history of human conflict, tribal warfare, ancient battles, modern weapons of mass destruction. As we eliminated external predators, humans became our own most dangerous threat. We turned our predatory adaptations against each other, developing increasingly sophisticated ways to kill members of our own species. Images of warfare gave way to scenes of peace negotiations, international cooperation, humanitarian aid. Yet, alongside this capacity for violence, we developed an even stronger drive for peace. The same empathic abilities that allowed us to protect other species enabled us to recognize the humanity in our enemies. The same cooperative instincts that made us effective hunters made us effective peacemakers. Ambassador Klevak rose from his seat, his scales displaying a pattern that his translator rendered as profound realization. "Dr. Reyes," he said, his voice carrying throughout the hall, "you have presented us with an evolutionary paradox. Your species evolved as predators, yet developed the empathy characteristic of prey species. You possess the aggression of apex hunters, yet the cooperative social structures of herd animals. You are simultaneously the most dangerous predators your planet produced and its most dedicated protectors." Elena nodded. "That's precisely the point, Ambassador. Human evolution doesn't fit neatly into the predator-prey binary that forms the basis of the Federation's biological classification system. We transcended that dichotomy, creating something entirely new." The display behind her showed a final image, humans working alongside alien species on a Federation conservation project, protecting endangered life forms from a distant world. And that, distinguished colleagues, is why humans have no natural predators. Not because we eliminated them all, but because we became something more than mere predators ourselves. We became protectors, first of our own kind, then of other species, and now as members of the Galactic Federation of life throughout the cosmos. The hall erupted in a cacophony of translated discussions. Elena could see the impact of her words rippling through the audience, some excited, some troubled, all engaged. Zix Tral, the Arthean head of the Galactic Biological Classification Committee, approached the podium. His mandibles clicked in what Elena had learned was a gesture of formal respect. "Dr. Reyes," he said, "the committee will need to convene an emergency session. Your presentation and yesterday's demonstration have revealed fundamental flaws in our classification methodology. We have been operating under a binary paradigm that cannot accommodate the evolutionary pathway humans represent. Elena felt a surge of satisfaction. This was exactly the outcome she had hoped for. The committee would be honored, if you would, serve as a special advisor during our deliberations, Zixtral continued. Your insights could help us develop a more nuanced understanding of evolutionary pathways throughout the galaxy. I would be honored, Elena replied. As the formal session concluded, the hall filled with animated discussions. Elena found herself surrounded by scientists from dozens of worlds, all eager to explore the implications of human evolutionary history for their own research. Admiral Zhang made his way to her side, a rare smile on his weathered face. "Well done, Doctor," he said quietly. "You've accomplished more for Human Federation relations in 2 days than our diplomatic corps has managed in 5 years. I just told the truth about who we are," Elena replied. "Sometimes that's the most powerful thing we can do," Zhang said. "Show others our true nature, both the predator and the protector." As they made their way toward the exit, Ambassador Klvak intercepted them. His scales now displayed a pattern that his translator interpreted as respectful reconciliation. "Admiral Zhang, Dr. Reyes," he said formally. "The draconian hegemony wishes to extend an invitation. Our most sacred conservation facility, the Genesis Cradle, has never been open to non-draconians. But in light of what we have learned about human evolutionary adaptations, we believe your species may offer valuable insights into our own conservation efforts." Zhang bowed slightly. "The invitation is gratefully accepted, Ambassador." As Klvak departed, Elena felt a profound sense of accomplishment. She had come to the summit hoping merely to correct misconceptions about human evolution. Instead, she had initiated a fundamental shift in how the galaxy understood not just humans, but the very nature of evolutionary pathways. "What happens now?" she asked Zhang as they boarded the shuttle that would return them to the human diplomatic compound. The Admiral gazed out at the stars visible through the viewport. "Now," he said thoughtfully, "we help the galaxy understand that the greatest evolutionary achievement isn't becoming the perfect predator or the perfect prey. It's transcending that division altogether." Elena nodded, watching as the diverse species of the Federation went about their business in the spaceport below. Humans had spent millions of years evolving from vulnerable prey into apex predators, only to discover that their true evolutionary destiny lay in becoming something greater, protectors of life in all its forms. The secret of Earth's evolutionary pathway wasn't that humans had no natural predators. It was that humans had learned to be more than predators themselves, and in that transformation lay humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. Wow, what a journey! If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more sci-fi adventures. What was your favorite part? Let me know below.